Michael Chandler gets honest on his upcoming fight with Paddy Pimblett and explains why his mindset for the matchup won't change compared to his previous contests when he faced a level of opposition much higher than of the Scouse fighter. In his latest interview, Mike talked about the importance of being ready to perform to one's best ability, even when circumstances might seem to be much more optimal as far as the level of difficulty that a specific challenge offers in comparison to previous experiences. Of course, Pimblett isn't a low-tier fighter that can be taken lightly, but it is also a fact that Chandler has been fighting the cream of the crop at lightweight from the moment he signed with the company. Getting an up-and-comer like Paddy, who has yet to prove his worth among the elite at 155, may seem to some as a much easier challenge than what he's used to, but Chandler has a different approach.
I think that is the greatest form of weakness when it comes to the human condition, where there is somewhat of a lighter load or a lighter burden to bear, or a lesser path, or a path to a lesser goal that you would give less than your best. Man, I spent how many years in Bellator fighting guys that are no longer fighting guys that never made it to stardom, fighting guys who, you know, a lot of people in the mixed martial arts world, unless you were a diehard mixed martial arts fan, didn't really realize who they were or how good they were. And a lot of those guys were good, right? I think it's, in some senses, harder to fight a guy who's less dangerous, who's a little bit more susceptible than there is to go fight your Poiriers and your Gaethjes and your Oliveras and those guys where you're, you know.
Merab's coach Ray Longo wasn't impressed with Carlos Ulberg's win over Jan Blachowicz, and he thinks the New Zealander's performance in that outing will make the UFC torture him, as he put it. It's not very desirable to go toe-to-toe with a 42-year-old fighter coming off a very long layoff and serious shoulder injuries if you're someone considered to be a hot prospect in a division which is packed with high talent at its very top. Regardless, Ulberg has now won 8 fights in a row and became ranked number 3, so we can expect him getting a matchup against the very best of the weight class in his next outing. One fighter ranked above him who doesn't have a fight lined up and is eager to get one in pretty soon is Jiří Procházka, so that's something to keep an eye on. Ray Longo thinks that with his unimpressive victory over the former champion, Ulberg didn't win anyone over in UFC's leadership, and he's going to face some consequences.
I thought it was a lackluster performance. I wasn't excited about that fight at all. The guy's 42 years old. I think you should have been able, if you're going to make a statement, you should have been able to make a statement. But I think that fight was, from what I was looking at, was really, I didn't even know who won the fight at the end of the fight. Right. I thought it was, I could see the UFC torturing that guy over that win. Like, they're not impressed. I mean, I don't know. To me, it just looked, I think the fight could have won either way. The other guy was coming forward, a lot of movement from what I remember. And did anybody get hit in that fight more than once or twice? I'm not sure. Was there punches landed, Kenny?
There was a lot of respect, Ray. A lot of respect.
So,
yeah.
But again, I think for one guy being the up and comer and the other guy already being there and being like maybe a gatekeeper, if you want to say that.
Yeah.
I just wasn't impressed with the fight.
Alexander Volkanovski talks about the stakes of his upcoming title fight against Diego Lopez, the reason why he chose to try to make another title run instead of retiring, and plans as a champion if he's able to beat the Brazilian in their vacant title bout. In a conversation with Michael Bisping and Paul Felder on their podcast, the former featherweight champion and a figure in that division who has a strong argument to be the greatest in history laid out his plans as a defending champion after what he predicts will be a successful attempt to recapture his old crown in Miami. Volk has certainly been one of the most active champions in UFC history, not shying away from jumping on opportunities to save cards on short notice, even if that means going up a weight class and risking to lose one of the most impressive winning streaks ever. Even at 36 years of age and coming off 2 knockout losses in a row, Alex isn't planning to slow down anytime soon, and he wants to remind the MMA community why he's one of the best fighters on the whole roster.
I wouldn't say there's pressure. I mean, I obviously want to prove people wrong, but I've always wanted to do that. You know, I've always wanted, that's why I wanted to fight Islam Makhachev, even on 11 days notice. You know what I mean? The challenge excites me. So it's not like I need to prove something, the pressure of needing to prove something. I guess I've always wanted to prove myself. So it's a normal feeling for me. I've always looked for something like this to prove myself. I guess this is a lot easier because I'm coming off 2 knockout losses, so it ain't hard to find, the
motivation,
people doubting me, or you know what I mean. Yeah, that it's not hard to find. But yeah, it's just, I think more of the pressure came when wasn't really sure, like how am I going to be after my fighting? These were questions I was asking. Every fighter's going to ask themselves that.
Dana White reveals that the much anticipated fight between Jon Jones and Tom Aspinall is a done deal now, and says that Jon is frustrated with some of the MMA community for doubting him, even despite having the greatest resume in the history of MMA. The last time we heard Dana speak about the status of Jones versus Aspinall was when he sat down with Adam Catterall in London before Edwards versus Brady. He then said that the fight was still not a done deal, but the only thing left was for the two light heavyweights to actually sign the contracts. In his latest podcast appearance, Dana confirmed that the fight is now signed, and also revealed that Jon is mad at Aspinall for his comments during this whole build-up to getting a deal done, but additionally with many new generation fans, a portion of which tends to be pretty active and loud on social media in spite of their limited understanding of the sport.
He absolutely, positively fights Aspinall. The whole, I didn't deserve it. That is classic Jon Jones right there. Classic Jon Jones. Jon Jones is like 37, 38 years old. He's fought everybody. He's fought all the best in the world in their prime. Been doing it since he was 23 years old. He doesn't duck any, and he's undefeated. He's never lost a fight, which is unbelievable in like 16 years. It's driving him crazy, and he's pissed off at the fact that so many people are disrespecting him, and I think it makes for a very interesting fight.
Jon Anik is excited about Paddy Pimblett fighting in Miami against Michael Chandler, and he can't wait to commentate on the card, which has the Brit serving as one half of the co-main event. Paddy's UFC rise has had its ups and downs, and the main critique he's been facing is the fact that his progression hasn't been as fast and electric as many fans initially expected it to be. He's still undefeated in the UFC, though many thought he actually lost to Jared Gordon. He dominated and finished Bobby Green in his last outing, and that earned him an opportunity to get ranked close to top 5 in the most stacked division in the UFC. Jon, who has high hopes for Pimblett, explains why he's so excited for his next fight.
Patrick Pimblett hits the 305. This is going to be a scene, brother, to see this man walk out in South Florida. He has the chance to become a massive global superstar if he can get to a UFC lightweight championship fight. I'm not necessarily saying he's got to win the title. Just got to get these 2 wins, right? Beat Michael Chandler and then beat Dustin Poirier or Charles Oliveira or someone of that ilk. And when I sit up there at the UFC 314 press conference and I look to my left at Paddy Pimblett and he lays out there for the world that he's got to beat Michael Chandler and then go beat one of those other guys, it's music to my ears because I have followed his career and I know he could have gotten to the UFC when he was 21 or 23 and he bided his time and let people sleep on him as maybe King Green did. Michael Chandler assuredly will not,